Hello, Randy Hawthorne here, executive editor of Nonprofit Hub, and today's talk is with Brady Josephson from NextAfter. And um, I'm kind of excited about this because I geek out on a lot of marketing related things. And we are talking with him about multi-channel marketing, but instead of talking directly about the importance of multi-channel marketing, Brady, how did your company arrive at the fact that we know multi-channel marketing is important? You do a lot of research, I know that. So I would love for our viewers to understand that a little bit more.
Sure. Yeah. So I work for the Institute Research and Training part of our company. And our mission is to decode what works in fundraising and then make it as accessible as we can to as many organizations as we can. And we do that through data and research. And what we find is there's always these gaps. And there's different gaps. One of them is between what donors say and what they do. This is why experimentation and testing is so critical, because donors will lie to your face without knowing it and then go do something very different. So we need to monitor and examine human behavior. That's one thing. But then another gap is between like what nonprofits should be doing and then what they actually do or what they are actually doing, where we find these gaps, and this like uncovers areas of opportunity and areas of insight. And so for multi-channel, we know on the data side what nonprofits should be doing. We know that people who give both online and offline are worth 3 times more than single channel donors. We know that offline only donors, people who only write you checks just by receiving emails, are worth 90% more on your file and more likely to be retained, about 13 or 14 percentage points, according to our data and benchmarks. But I mean, just Google multi-channel and you'll find all kinds of evidence and data from all kinds of different organizations and people saying multi-channel, multiple channels, online, offline. That's really what we're talking about. There's omni-channel and how do you do multi-channel online, which is slightly different. We're really talking about online and offline, encouraging offline to give online and online to give offline. Those donors are more valuable. That's pretty much cemented as fact. So what we wanted to do in this research study, and we partnered with Virtuous to do this, is, well, how are organizations communicating to their online and their offline donors? So that was really like the research question that we were trying to answer and collect data to say, we should be doing this, but are we, and how? That's what we really sought out to do.
Cool. And I don't want you to have to lift up the hood too much, but is there any a specific example maybe that you could share with how you're knowing that what the nonprofit is saying they're doing isn't necessarily relating to what they're actually doing?
Yeah, so we design our research studies to become a mystery donor ourselves. So in this case, we created 2 separate and unique donor personas. One is an offline donor, different email, different address, different phone number, and we wrote a check. And then on the exact same day, we made an online donation to the exact same organization with a different email, different address, different phone number, but the same organization, same monetary amount. On the check side, on the offline side, we said, here's our phone, here's our email, please contact us. And then same thing on the email side, we opted into as many communications, gave our phone number even if it wasn't required. So to try to replicate, the same type of experience, just changing the channel. And then we tracked all communication, email, phone, text, and mail for 4 months from both of those donor personas from the exact same organization data set to see how did they communicate to us online and offline to each of those different donors, the online and the offline donor, to try and answer this question. And I should say we gave $20 donations because that's often a key point where, especially when it comes to multi-channel, people say, well, it was just $20, why would we invest the funds to, send them a piece of mail or a postcard or something like that? And again, there's a couple of reasons. One, the argument of donor retention and lifetime value and all those things that we talked about previously. And then also we know that about 50%, 30 to 50% of major donors start out as basically a $100 donor. So, this is the breeding ground, the cultivation grounds for, it may take a few years, it may take a while, but this is how it happens. And especially now with email and tools, the costs to do multi-channel marketing are really much, much less. The barriers to entry are much, much less than ever before. So there's not as much reason or argument to say, oh, we can't afford to. Part of the argument is you kind of can't afford not to. It's that
Right.
imperative that this is why we're like losing donors every year. And then we go, what's going on? Well, we know if we do multi-channel communications, we're more likely to keep them. So we can't not do the things that we know that work and then also complain about the fact that we're losing donors. Like, something has to give.
Right. And it's so much easier, as we all know, to keep a donor than to find a new one, right?
Correct.
And so the more you
Absolutely.
can
Yeah.
nurture them, that's a great thing. So uh, how I I was just noticing the competing green screens. That's awesome. Um, uh, have you been? I haven't gotten into my podcast routine for 2021 yet. How are you still doing the freak show?
I am. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So check that out. Go check out the fundraising freak show. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to get
That's been fun. We'll have to have you on.
I'm gonna have to get caught up on that.
Yeah. Binge it. There you go.
And also, to all of our viewers there, not only go check out that because Brady has a lot of great information, but also check out our archives for some webinars. Brady is always gracious enough to join us there too. So thanks everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Brady, for being here. And
Thank you so much for having me.
yes, if you as a nonprofit want to come on and share just a few minutes of any challenges that you've had or any success stories that you'd like to share, it's always great to hear from peers. Peer-to-peer information is always helpful. Just hit us up on the Facebooks and you get a chance to talk with me. Have fun. Thanks a lot. Now go out and do more good.